Welcome back to episode 8. We are going to be talking about the not so fun part of running your business, and that is firing a client. It sucks, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just reality,
For
you know? So, reasons that you might need to fire a client.
Showing up late multiple times, always rescheduling, being disrespectful.
Which is so interesting because when we were talking about the episode, she mentioned like you've had to fire a client for that reason. And I've never had to.
That's how we even got here, because she was like, Sierra, have you ever? And I was like, girl, yes.
Yeah. My fire clients have more so been like the rescheduling or showing up late, or like they're never happy with their service, like no matter what you do. But it's always like one of those situations where they go home and then they text you and are like, hey,
always.
girl. Yeah. And it's like every single time, no matter what you do. Or I've even had to fire a client for like negotiating pricing with me and like not respecting my boundaries. So I'm really excited to hear about kind of like your advice for like inappropriate conversations, because that's just like a whole nother ball game. Yeah, it's not fun. It's really not. So we want to kind of guide you guys on how to professionally handle that, because there's definitely a right way to fire a client and a wrong way to fire a client. And it's really hard to keep your emotions out of it, especially when it's your business, because it's easy to get like defensive and like want to protect yourself when it gets to that point. But I also think it's important not to allow yourself to get to that point, and to like know like from the beginning. Like I know when I first started, like I probably had clients for a year. I was dealing with the bull crap because I had no boundaries and was just like, I'm a people pleaser. Like that's
Me
kind
too,
of
but
like
a year is a long time.
Yeah. But it's scarcity mindset, you know, like I was like afraid to lose them as a client, and I just didn't value myself. I valued them more than I valued myself. And like, that's not okay, you know? So how do you know when you should fire them? Some of like my kind of like clues, if people ask me like, I just don't know if I'm like being unreasonable, is I think back to when I would see their name on my book.
And you get that like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like the heart sink, nerves, like dread.
Yeah.
For like weeks just looking at your book.
Which is the total opposite of your ideal client, who like you're super excited to see them. Yeah. I can think of like one specific person. Like when I say that, I'm just like, oh gosh.
I remember, so for me, I had one person, and it wasn't at first. At first I was like, this is fine. It's a little off, right? I was like the vibe is not there.
I feel like you gaslight yourself. You're like, am I the problem?
I did do that. Like I was like, well, maybe she just doesn't like want to talk at all. Like maybe she's not talkative. Maybe, I don't know. Like I was like, maybe she doesn't like me. Maybe she's just tired. And then she started sending me photos of stuff that she wanted that was literally the opposite of what I do. Like completely the opposite. She kept trying to push me to do things that was completely out of my comfort zone. And I would express to her all the time, like this, you know, like I am just not that artist. I do not do that kind of work. Not to say that it was like bad work or anything like that. It's just things that I wasn't comfortable with. Not my style. And also not things that I was like comfortable risking my salon license for, because some of it was on the chopping block for being made illegal. In the state of Florida. So I was like, if this is happening right now, I'm not going to do it, because I actually had somebody come to my salon, ironically, like a month before I had a random pop-up by DBPR. And she like inspected my space. She was super nice, and she was just talking to me. She was like, do you offer this, this, and this? And I was like, like some of it, not all of it. You know, I'm just like kind of, I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. And then she was like, well, it's good that you don't, because it's actually being debated right now to be made illegal. And if you get caught doing it.
What service is it?
So they almost made lash lifting and tinting illegal.
Interesting.
Right. They didn't.
I'm not going to lie. Like,
because it's a chemical service on your eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's the same products as, like, not the same thing, but it's like ammonium thioglycolate, which is like, use that in a hair perm.
Yeah, exactly.
Which they warn you on the hair perm that it can make you go blind. And then we're putting it right by someone's eyes. So, like, I get it. But also, if you're controlled and you understand what you're doing as an artist, and, you know, you're educated, then you'll be fine. So they ended up saying it's fine, but this was like in that gray area place where she had given me the warning. And also it was, I guess bottom lashes were on there too. And she was trying to push me to do this like super huge, thick, very, very long mega volume set.
Wait.
I sent you the picture.
No. Do you remember when... Do you remember when I tried to make you do bottom lashes on me?
Yes, I do.
Like, no, girl.
And I told you, no, it's going to burn. And then you were like, no, it's fine. And then I was like, your eye's going to be open and the fumes are going to hurt. And then you're like, no, just try it anyways. And I tried it. And then you were crying. But there are some artists out there who can do bottom lashes, and it's totally cool. Yeah. I was not there yet. This was my first year.
Like, just try it on me. It's fine.
This is like when I very first started lashing. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, girl, like, you're so advanced so fast. Like, just do it. I trust you. And I was like, I don't trust me. Like, I don't trust me. So, but this is like after the fact that had even happened. But that was my experience with it as well. Yeah. And then when she came in and she was like, oh, that's on the chopping block. So if I was you, I would avert, you know? Yeah. And I was like, okay, fine. So this is what I heard from the DBPR professional. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not about to risk my salon license. This was my first year as a salon. Like, no. Yeah. And the girl just kept like pushing and pushing for it.
I think that's a big thing. And I see it a lot where I will have a client come in or do my consultation form and like, so for example, I don't do like super blondes and they want it.
Like platinum.
And and they'll say they're okay with not being blonde, but then like after a couple of months, they'll be like, more. I'm just not as blonde as so I think like I've had situations where I've had to kind of let someone go because like originally we aligned, but then like they'll start getting comfortable and start like trying to persuade you to do things that you don't want to do, and that's why it's so important to like know what you will and will not do and like stick to those boundaries. And I think that's for sure what happened in this situation. Like, it was weird at first, like I said, and then we got comfortable with each other, and then she would send me pictures, and then she just kept pushing. But also a reason that she had to go was because I have specific price points. So at my salon, I offer an express set and I offer a full set. The express set isn't full coverage. It gets done faster. You can come in sooner. And a lot of my girls love that option because they are so busy and so on the go. They don't have time to sit there and get 100% full, but they can come in for like mini fills. And I call it the express because it's faster, but it's still quality work. So you're not going to get 100% coverage. Right. But she was booking express sets. They want that because it's not as expensive, but she was booking mega express sets. And then she would look at her lashes and she would be like, oh, well, I can still kind of see through them. It's like and I would let her lay back down and fill her in more. And then I realized, I was like, she is damn near like, she's like 99% full. Yeah, by the that's time not an express set anymore. This is a 2.5 hour service. This is 100% a full set. I was like, she's trying to play me. Yeah. Financially. Yeah. And it's working. And it took 3 times of her doing that for me to be like, so no. And then that's when I've had to really figure out how to have those hard conversations about respecting my boundaries, respecting the service that is offered and what I will provide for that. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, when your client is coming in, you're like transparent about the services that you offer. You are then at an agreement, right? And I feel like she kind of was taking advantage of the agreement. And also just what I was doing was not what she wanted. Yeah. Like, I did not offer the services that aligned with exactly what she wanted. I did. And it's kind of weird. Like, why do you want to keep coming back to me if I'm not? And that's how I felt. Yeah, exactly. So I actually referred her to a girl that I went to high school with that also does lashes. Because her page is completely like exact. More her style. It's literally exact. I was like, you'll be happy there. Her price point was lower than mine. And that's the thing. And she did the mega volume like sets with the bottom lashes and everything. And I was like, girl. Firing a client, she was closer to her. Firing a client doesn't have to be this like huge dramatic thing where they've like disrespected you and like this whole ordeal. It could just be like, hey, our goals and like what you want and what I offer doesn't align. And that brings me to our another topic is like people trying to ask for discounts. Which she wasn't asking for a discount, but she was getting more than other people. And that's not fair to my other clients. Right. So you're having these problems. Like maybe you're hearing this and you're like, yes, I have a client. Like, you're thinking of someone specific. Like, I have a client like this. So then kind of like, how do we fire them? So we're going to give you guys like some different topics and then some advice for like each topic because it's different. Like every conversation is kind of different. So when they're not respecting your boundaries, how do you handle that? It depends on how they're not respecting the boundaries. So say it's someone who is consistently coming in late or rescheduling or I've been no-showed or something like that. That's all. It's like, it depends on you and what you are willing to put up with and for how long. So like your breaking point was apparently a year back then. Mine was not. Yeah.
I don't know. I really try to be nice about it. And I think me and you actually had this discussion previously about how if I have someone who comes in, I have a one-time grace period. So if you come in late for your appointment, first of all, I have a 15-minute grace period every day anyways. But if you break the 15-minute grace period, I tell you very nicely, like, I completely understand that, like, life happens, things happen, there's traffic, women have children to take care of, we have all these different responsibilities. I understand it gets overwhelming. But there's a one-time grace period, and then after that, the deposit is then forfeited. And then if you no-show me, you have to pay another deposit. But if it's a no-show, like, no-call, no-show, literally, then, like, you are off my book.
You're done.
You do not get to come back in. I need, like, the entire story. And I only got to where I started to tell them that they have a grace period. I wasn't communicating that I had a 1-day grace period. So I actually had another client, and me and her were really good. She was super loyal, and then she cheated on me. And when she cheated on me, I noticed, because I was like, she hasn't come in, and I watched her story.
Cheat, they always come back.
They do. But she cheated on me, and then I watched her story. I was like, she hasn't been in a while, and she's definitely got on eyelash extensions. I didn't do those. And then I was like, but it's fine. And then she came back in, and as I opened the door to greet her, I was like, hey, girl. And she was like, so let me just, address the elephant in the room. I cheated. And I was like,
that's hilarious.
Girl. Like, I was like, okay, it's like that. And then she was like, yeah, like, my friend was, like, pressuring me to go to her girl. And she was like, she's cheaper. She's really good, blah, blah, blah. And then she was, but she's just not you. Like, she doesn't get it. Like, she's not the same as you. And I was like, okay. And we were good after that. And then she had no-showed me on accident because she completely forgot about her appointment. And then the next time, something happened with her daughter when she was sick. And this is when I finally was like, listen, like, you have to put down another deposit. This is my policy. And I wasn't standing by my policy from the beginning. And that's what bit me in the butt. And she took it personally. And it's like, if I would have communicated that.
And that's the thing. It's like, it's hard because we are human. And like, we don't want to seem like this, like, crazy person. But at the end of the day, it's business. It's not personal. And I think, like you said, it's important to, if you are going to give your clients a grace period or like a one-time freebie, first of all, don't ever disclose that to them, because that just gives them the opportunity to be like, oh, I'm just not going to come
I tell
this
them
time
after.
But then also you need to explain to them, like, hey, I just want to remind you of my policies. I will actually send it over to them, like, hey, just for you to reference my policies, these are it. And I also feel like it depends on me personally. I don't necessarily give each client a freebie, but based off of who they are and like how long they've been coming to me. Like, I can read people, number one. Like, I know if you're lying to me about something. I've had situations where maybe it's my last client of the day, so it doesn't really affect me. It's my new installs, like, there's no grace, because I literally booking you for my whole day. So I can't.
See, and our situations are different too.
Right, exactly, because your appointments are smaller. So like, by not having someone in isn't a huge deal.
Like, it kind of affects me for sure. But
no, for sure. But like, not working for a whole day and like not working for like 2 hours is totally different. And so I think it definitely depends on like your booking process or like what you want out of it. But as far as like the no-show, like the late, like that kind of thing, I find that the more lenient you are, the more they're going to take advantage of you.
Oh, for sure.
So like, I used to be a lot more lenient, especially like being a mom. And like, I get it. I feel like anytime I'm leaving with my kid, I'm late. So even like, I used to be really strict about being late, and it was like 15 minutes, like, I'm not taking you. And now it's more so like, okay, you might not get your full blow dry, or you might not get curls, And
I've definitely learned that as well.
Yeah, like with lashes, probably like you might not get as full.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I feel like that also maintains that relationship, but also understands that like, these are the boundaries, and this is the agreement that we both have set up. This is the time that's allotted for you. And if you go into that time, then like, I'm sorry. But I'll try to get you as full as possible within this time. And then next time you just need to book like an extended fill or something like that.
Right. So basically it's important if the reason you're wanting to fire a client is because they're not respecting your boundaries as far as like no showing or canceling. I think the first step, so that you don't even have to get to firing, the very, very first step is have your policies in place. So
for
that
sure. And respect
you're
them.
not having to deal with those issues. But if it still gets to that point where maybe like you're a little bit of a pushover, it's hard for you to speak up, you need to have the conversation with them before, like, hey girl, I realize, you know, that you've been running a little late or like canceling last minute. You know, I do just want to let you know that my schedule is very limited and I respect your time and I know you respect mine, but we need to make sure that we're booking something that is going to align with your schedule. Or also, like, I will even, like, my clients, not so much now because my schedule is legit booked out, but when I wasn't booked out, I wouldn't get someone back in immediately because it's like, even if I had an appointment the next day, I'd be like, hey girl, I don't have anything available for like 4 more weeks because
Girl,
because it puts that pressure on them of like, you know, my time is valuable. And
that's the opposite of scarcity mindset.
Yeah, but I didn't used to be like that, you know, but it was like, I realized that they knew I would get them back in. So like if they canceled, where now, and it is a legit thing for me now because I am booked out like, you know, 6 to 8 weeks. They know that if they cancel, like they're not getting back in for like 2 more months, you know, unless something.
They tell me that when they
yeah. So even if you need to, you know, exaggerate the situation a little bit, if that helps you, you know, to set your boundaries, because I was someone who like, it was really hard for me to kind of like stand up for myself. And then as far as like not respecting your boundaries in general, like that could be not just showing up late, but like, you know, being disrespectful to you or like we said earlier, wanting you to do services that you don't want to do. You can kind of address the situation as, I want to provide you with the best service that I can. And unfortunately, what you're asking for just isn't something that I enjoy doing or I'm comfortable doing. And so I would love to refer you out to another stylist or another business where they can really specialize in that and give you what you deserve.
Yeah.
You know,
I actually spoke to someone that I looked up to a lot in the lash industry. She's super talented, but when I messaged her, I was like, hey, like, what do you do if a client does this? And like talking about basically this exact situation. And then she was like, well, as a lash artist, you shouldn't be denying anybody anything. Like you should do everything that they want. And I was like, well, I find it ironic that you don't post anything like that at all. Yeah. And then I realized maybe she is doing those things, but she's not posting them because that's not her ideal client.
Yeah.
But
I think it depends on where you are in your business. Like if you're definitely building and you know, like you got to make money at the end of the day.
Yeah, but if you're uncomfortable with something and you don't feel like you're going to like even do the service well, don't do it.
Yeah. I think there's a difference between like,
you get into rework and issues, and that person ultimately at the end of the day is not going to be happy. I'm still having to learn, even at this point in my career, I do suffer with people pleasing, and that is a problem for me. So when one of my clients looks at me and like, they're like, I really, really want to try this, and they're so excited, and there's like this little twinkle in their eye and shit, and then you're like, fine, like,
so
we'll try it.
I have a client, she's so funny. Like she cracks me up. And she's like, girl, you love telling people that you're not the right stylist for them.
You really do. You do that all the time.
But I'm like, I'm not.
Unfortunately, I think that I'm not the right stylist for you, but so-and-so over here would be a great match.
Oh my goodness. But I truly will never do something that I'm not comfortable with because like I take pride in my work.
But I think that makes people trust you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what people have told me. Like I literally just had this conversation with a girl yesterday. She messaged me and was saying that she was having issues with her retention and she didn't understand why. And I was like, well, do you remember when we talked and I advised you against doing this? And then we did it anyways. We went like longer, and I told her.
They forget sometimes.
Oh, they did. Yeah. So I had to gently remind her.
You've done that to me too before, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah, like nicely. Yeah. Because you just they get so excited in the moment. You want to try something new, like, you know, we always get bored and whatever. And she's like, I want longer lashes. And I was like, okay, we can try it. We'll see how you do. Then she did well for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then the next 2 weeks, I was like, okay, so all of the shorter ones that were like able to hang on and whatever, they started coming off, and it was all the long ones this time. And she was like, I'm struggling and I don't know what happened. And then I was like, we talked about this. But really, I learned that I should have just put my foot down in the beginning and been like, listen, if you want to use a lash serum and wait a few weeks and then like you have longer, stronger lashes, we can go longer with the length.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's all a learning process. I think knowing your boundaries and sticking to them.
Yeah.
And there's no reason I would fire her at all.
Yeah.
But she did come at me a little sideways.
But
in a text
if you
message.
didn't set those boundaries, if you didn't have that conversation with her right then and there, it could have gotten to the point. And that's what we're saying. Sure. It doesn't always have to get to the point of having to fire a client. Like you can have those conversations
and they
with them beforehand.
Me because I come at them with education and solving issues.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's communicating, asking for discounts. And I feel like you do have to humanize the situation. Like I've had someone ask me for a discount or like ask me to come in later, and you almost have to be like, hey girl, like, you know, I'll give a super specific example. I literally had someone like give me a price and was like, this is how much I want to pay. And I was like, what? I just want you to realize how insulting this is to me.
You told her that?
Mm-hmm. Huh. But this was after a long time of dealing with a lot of bullcrap from her.
Is this the okay.
Mm-hmm.
You posted her on stories. You outed her.
Oh, I was like, I hope you understand like how insulting this is for me, because number one, you're telling me that I'm not worth it. You're telling me that my price and what I'm offering you is not worth what you're like wanting to pay. I'm like, also, if your job asked you to come in and work for less than what you were supposed to be paid, you'd literally laugh in their face.
Oh, hell no.
And like not come to work.
You'd be like, today I'm going to pay you $10 an hour instead of $20 an hour.
Yeah. And
like,
when I told her that, she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't mean to offend you. Which like I did end up still firing her because like I said, I dealt with a lot of stuff from her. But yeah, she was like, I didn't mean it like that. Like I wasn't trying to offend you. But it's like, I don't know what it is. Like when it's a service in a business, like people just don't.
I think it's when you're a small business owner.
And I don't want to say they necessarily don't take you seriously or like respect your business, but like kind of like they don't respect you as like this corporation, which sucks because they should be respecting you more.
I found that happened to me a lot more at the beginning of my career. Now people don't really try to even negotiate prices, but at the beginning when they can sense that like you're not confident,
you're weak,
they'll do it.
Yeah, they will. Yep. And then inappropriate conversation, I'll let you touch base on this one because like I said, I've never had this situation before. So how would you handle someone who's like either disrespecting you or maybe like the things they're talking about just like really don't align with what's going on?
This, thank God, has not happened in our last studio, but that's because I've been very
clear.
Yes. On like who I am, what I will and will not tolerate. Like I'm just honest about my opinions with all of my girls, and I think that's what's helped me like cultivate this client base, you know.
Well, and it goes back to we kind of touched base on this in our ideal client episode about like showing up as you and attracting those people. So like you shouldn't be attracting people that like don't align with you like whatsoever.
I hid parts of who I was when I first started doing hair, and this is when I had a full book at a hair salon, and I was going to this girl's house, and I am still like scarred by this story because it hurt so bad because she was one of my very regular clients. I saw her all the time. I knew her husband. I was in her house. Even when I stopped working at the salon, I still was going to see her, and this didn't happen until afterwards. But at the time I was like seeing a girl, and she was like, I didn't know, like I guess I had never said anything about it because I was super, super private with even any relationship I'd ever been in.
You're just private in general.
Am I?
You are. You're very private about your personal life.
Am I? Okay, I don't know. But like even this is hard to like talk about on a camera. Yeah. Like that's about, like I don't tell everybody because it was a part of my life and I experienced it. You know how people are like, oh, you tried being gay in college. Like I was like with a girl in college. Yeah. But I wasn't like trying to be gay in college. No. But I was like in a relationship with a woman, and then I was talking and I was like, oh, her. All I said was her. This girl, literally, she was like, ah! And like freaked out, moved my hand from her head, all kinds of dramatic stuff. She was like, you're with a what? And she was like, I thought you were with a man. And I was like, I guess I've never like said the gender. Oh my God. I didn't even realize. And then I was like, huh. Like right now, like obviously now I'm with like I'm with Dante and all this. But like she freaked out, and I was like, I've never seen homophobia that close before. Yeah. And it was right. And it was a person I genuinely cared about. And she lost her mind. Like when I say it was screaming, dramatic, all kinds of stuff, like you could tell her whole demeanor changed. I finished her service, and then like she had messaged me, I think after that, I just never talked to her again. Like I was like, I'm done.
I hate that.
Like
for you.
and it wasn't even that I wanted to fire her, but at that point I was like, this is something that I'm not okay with.
Yeah.
Like if you are homophobic, if you are racist in any way, if you think you are better than someone because of anything about how they choose to live their life,
Goodbye.
to the left.
To the left.
Like
to
I'm
the
not
left.
doing that.
Literally.
So
Goodbye.
like I'm not even with a girl anymore. And I just still, my clients know that when you come to me, you are genuinely in a safe space. And if you want to disrupt that safe space in my studio, you will not be there anymore.
Yep.
So
That's
all.
So then how to avoid all of this in general, because it's uncomfortable. Nobody wants to deal with it. Like it's one of the worst feelings. If you have not listened to the ideal client episode, go listen to it, because if you're attracting your ideal client, you shouldn't be having any of these issues.
That didn't happen.
They're going to respect. Yeah, they're going to respect you. Not only is it going to help you eliminate those people, but if someone switches up on you, you're going to be able to identify it like immediately and like not ignore the red flags. Because I feel like every client that I fired, so if you have that client who's just like never satisfied, you can just kind of address the situation as like, hey girl, like, you know, my main goal is to make you feel beautiful and to give you my best work. And unfortunately, like what I'm doing for you just isn't what you're looking for. And so I want to find someone who can do that for you, and then always refer them out. Like don't ever just like throw them out. Just like,
I think you should refer them out if you have someone that you know you can refer them out to. But if you don't know anybody and you haven't seen their work or anything like that, I don't think you should just refer.
Yeah, but you also should be kind of having that community and like support around you.
Yeah,
like if you don't have someone to refer out, I would encourage you to like
start reaching out to people.
Yeah, because there are different people who do different styles. Or you can even just be super honest.
Find someone on Instagram.
I was gonna say you could be super honest and be like, I've never personally seen her work. You know, I've never, but I've seen her work on Instagram or whatever.
Aligns with what you're showing me that you want.
Yes, exactly. So that you can just appropriately, you know, get rid of that conversation. I don't think it should ever, even with I have one client where it got really messy, and I was never disrespectful to her, because at the end of the day, you do need to be professional about it, regardless of how much they've disrespected you. I think it's very important because it's small. I don't care where you live. Like even if you're in a big town, it's still small where it gets around, and you just want to be able to confidently make sure like you handle that professionally. You can be firm and you can be like direct, but like you should never be like cussing someone out or like be like, you're crazy or da 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 da.
Yeah, I've seen that where people in the industry go off on their clients, and I'm like, I still believe that we should, as service providers, always remain professional
100%,
and respectful. If you come at me sideways, I'm not going to break character. You shouldn't match that
energy.
Yeah. If they come at you sideways, that's their decision. But you need to realize, like, okay, clearly she's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
And she's frustrated. And I always like say, I understand this must be frustrating for you, or, you know, whatever.
And I find it helps because I'm definitely someone who reacts easily. So I find that these conversations are easier for me to handle through an email or a text, because it allows me to breathe and not react immediately.
Put the phone down, walk away if you need to.
Exactly. So that you don't react and then be like, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Also, if you're having those policies in place so that you don't have to have these hard conversations, if you have your late policy, you have your cancellation policy, you have it in writing, they've agreed to it, they've signed whatever, you can just black and white forward it to them. Hey, I just want to remind you, you did agree to this. These are my policies. It is what it is. That helps a lot.
Can I say also, when you do notice these things within your business, because every single business is going to have different issues, different hiccups, different things, like however you work, it's going to be different than how we work. So just when you're experiencing these issues and you do find a solution, implement that solution into your policies immediately.
Yes. Your policies are always going to change. Like I feel like I love that you say that, because I feel like the things that are in my policies are there because of an experience that I've had.
Yeah, same.
And then I'm like, well, I don't want this to happen again, so I'm going to add this to my policies.
Yeah, I didn't have deposits because I kept getting no-showed at the beginning of my career.
Right. And then with that as well, just be specific with your booking process, because that's going to eliminate a lot of unnecessary drama. So like making sure your booking process aligns with who your ideal client is.
Yes.
So that again, you're kind of eliminating those like people who are always going to give you problems.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of help you guys out too, because we know how difficult it has been to have those conversations. Sometimes it's hard to like find the words. So we've created a document for you guys.
We text each other, honestly.
Yes. Like what? Oh my God. What
I don't know
what
to say. Yeah.
Things I say when document. So we've kind of have some things categorized. So if you are dealing with someone who's always late or rescheduling, these are some prompts that you can say when that happens. Or if you have someone being disrespectful, these are things I can say when. So if you want
struggling with making them happy, things you say when.
Yeah. You know. So if you want that document, go ahead, head to our Instagram, blended_podcast. Send us a DM with your email and things I say when, and then we will send that over to you guys so that it can give you a little bit more guidance, and you don't have to freak out. And we always say this, but we're so genuine about it. You can always reach out to us. We're here to help you through any problems that you have and support you. You don't have to do this alone. Yeah. We are here for you.
Yeah. We want to build, like, honestly, a community. And even when you guys are struggling with things, if you want to even like leave it in the comments and just see what other people
can see it. I love that. Like, start the conversation.
That, we definitely aren't alone, and
everyone if you have the problem, someone else does too. 100%.
And someone else might be dealing with it at the exact same time as you. And it's amazing to just have community.
And we're not like the know-alls. No. Like there's other people who maybe their situation is even more specific to you, or they can relate to your business better. So I love that, like, putting it in the comments is like huge, because then we can start that conversation. Other people can give their advice. We're not coming to you as like the experts. We're coming to you as the leaders of the community, so that we can all create.
We are sisters in struggle.
Yes. So I hope that this episode helped you guys and that you found value. And if you did, don't forget, leave us a review wherever you're watching so that this can be spread to all the BBs out there so we can all support each other and create that community
as well.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks for being our blended babes,
aka BBs. Join the conversation and let your voice be heard.
If you're ready for a revolution, don't forget to leave us a review wherever you're listening, and follow the journey on Instagram at blended_podcast.
Share this episode with your BB who is ready to beautify the beauty industry and rewrite the standards.
Get all the tea from this episode and more in the show notes.
Bye.